Hey Brewtubers. Alright, Woodshed Brewing coming to you. It is the 11th of July. Brewing the malt experiment today. So just finished making the adjustments on Beersmith for me. My finished batch side is 4.5 because I actually ferment in pinlock kegs. I know the original recipe calls for 5.5, so I just adjusted it to my system. So that puts us at a 0.47 ounce of Sabro at 60, another 0.47 at 15, and then the Flame Out edition ends up being a full half ounce with Whirlfloc and yeast nutrient at the 15. We're using distilled water, and then just 2 additions, and I'll show you that here in a few minutes as we get going. So using the tower of power, get that hooked up here in just a second, make sure we're all set to go, get everything running. So just getting things set up and get ready to go for the brew day. Hope everybody's doing well. I'll come back here in a few minutes and just kind of keep you up to date as the brew day goes along. Alright guys, so just got all the water in, all of it right there, distilled water. One of the nice things about this system with the tower of power, it's got a nice little switch on the side. Sitting at 82 right now. We'll start getting ready to put the heat to it. So, my recirculation system, and then we are set for 150 right now. We're going to mash in at 152. I think I'm going to go to 153 actually for a little bit of a drop. We'll actually probably go just a hair over 153.5. Turn the heat off, make sure we're all set. We'll mash in, and that'll give us a little bit of a drop with a target temperature of 152 for the mash. So we'll hit auto, sets me up, hit the flame, and we're starting to heat. She'll circulate through. So this system will turn the gas on and off. It's got a solenoid on the back side here, so it adjusts it. It'll turn the gate off, or turn the solenoid on and off as the heat goes. So we're already up to 183. There's one, excuse me, 84. So it'll ramp up to our mash temperature and then sit there. So kind of like the electric systems basically. Just I have natural gas here in my brewery, so it made sense to switch and go to that when Bradley had this on sale for me. So alright, so we will ramp up to our temperature and get some grains crushed here, get ready to go. So right now I gotta do my water adjustments, get that all set to go. Gotta the grains mashed, or excuse me, get the grains crushed. This system, on my system, is going to be 9 pounds, a little bit less because again we're going to be at 4.5 gallons for our batch size for this. So just a little bit less of the grains. So I have 10 pounds ready to go. So we're going to crush up 9 and see how things go. All right, guys, we'll be back in a few. I think I forgot to mention what I'm actually using for the malt experiment. So I decided to go with Mecca Grade Venora as their Vienna style malt. That's my malt for this choice. There's 10 of us right now, guys, so everybody's picked a different base malt to use. If it's the same base malt as somebody else's, then that would be from a different maltster. I got this from Northern Brewer. It is packaged in June 18th, so less than a month ago. 10 pounds of it. Again, I've taken a pound out of there because 9 pounds is what I'm going to need for mine. Again, the OG is 1052 on this, and again on mine's 4.5 gallon batch, so a little bit less than the 10 pounds that was in there. So I'm gonna get these things ground up. We're 119 pushing 120, get them ground up. Got my brewing salts, gotta get out my brewing salts and get those set to go, and get my pH meter all set, make sure it's calibrated, ready to go, so we can get a pH and see how things are going. Alright guys, we'll be back in a few. Alright, well that's the water additions. I'm getting ready to put that in. We are almost to our temp. I decided to ramp up 2 degrees because I find the system does drop a little bit, especially as you start to mash in. It drops a couple of degrees. Grains are sitting at probably 68, 70 degrees in my basement where I keep them. So drops a little bit, that way it doesn't have to ramp back up. But small addition of Epsom salts and calcium chloride to match. I believe the recipe called for 2 grams of each. I'm a little bit less than that, and 1.2 on mine. Again, for my system, being a little bit less batch. So put that in. We'll get ready to mash in. There you guys, just mashing in here. I know most people use a mash paddle, but paint strainer and a drill work awfully good for me. Been doing it for years with the old igloo cooler when I was doing it that way before I built this system, and feel like I get a real nice mix of my mash. Just have to be careful with your bag, catch on the side or something like that, and you can pull it in. So I got my water adjustments in, got my pH meter calibrated, so we're all set to go with that. Strike temperature is up to 154, so I turned the pump off, so it'll drop just a little bit with this is coming in. We're looking to mash in at 152 for 60 minutes. Again, this is 9 pounds of Venora from Mecca Grade. So I've never had a chance to use this grain before. Heard a ton about it. Brewtubers used it. Bradley over at Portly Gentleman, he's got a big sack of it. Actually, multiple sacks of it. It looked like at one point he had a pallet load in the back of his truck. So I think he's going through and doing some experiments with it. So, all right, well, I'll mash in and we'll take a look and see how we're doing here in a few minutes after we get the recirculation started. All right, so we're sitting right there at 152.1. So the system will turn the heat on when it needs it as it drops through. It does have a tendency to lose some heat going down through, coming up through the pump, through the sight glass. Running, I don't know if you guys can see it. That's the alarm to let you know that it could possibly be turning it on. It's 151.9. I don't know if you guys can see it. We're running about a half gallon a minute right now. So have a tendency to just throttle it back a little bit. So recirculating through, and then I'll mix it up every 10-15 minutes or so. So you can see it drops down a little bit, and you'll kick on as it starts to drop. It'll kick on, throw the heat to it. So it keeps it. Well, there you go, right there. Throws the flame on. It'll bring it up a couple of tenths, and then it's supposed to again keep it within a half a degree. So 151.5 to 152.5, somewhere in that range or so. So we are just into the mash, about 7 minutes in or so now. So, all right, we will come back and let you know as we get the mash out. All right, guys, so we have mashed out. We're just letting it drip out of the mash. I have a bag up in there. We just let it drip while we're coming up to temperature for the boil. So we're getting close there. Got my Sabro all set. I gotta get the whirl flock and yeast nutrient out. Excuse me. We ended up 5.4, just a tenth of a point up from the 5.3. Excuse me. Something in my throat. So doing pretty good. Brewtubers glass out with a I Dream of Jenny. It's a Denny Con cream ale, Jenny cream ale. So, being a Rochester guy, that's one of the things we'd like to have. Again, this is using Sabro hops, so we got 0.47 at 60, 0.47 at 15, and then a half an ounce at flame out. All right, so we're looking good. So far, my starting gravity here post mash is 1044, right on the money, exactly what it was calling for. So we'll see. 1052 is the original gravity, so we should be pretty close. So far, everything's pretty good. We're just a tenth off on our pH, which is within reason. and numbers are dead on the money for our gravity. So, all right, guys, I will check back in as the brew day goes along. So I did some calibrations, made sure everything was correct. I want to make sure my numbers are on for this. My refractometer I did not check with distilled water, so I double checked that and made sure. I had checked it and it said 1044 going to the boil, which is what it was supposed to be. So I checked it again, and I'm actually higher than what I thought I was supposed to be. I'm actually at 1048. This is showing 1042, but it's 107 degrees. So when you do the calibrations of that, that puts me at 1049, 1050, according to Beersmith, when you put the temperature in there. So it looks like I'm definitely gonna be high. I was just talking with Gary, main brew guy, on Discord, and it looked like his malts ran in a little bit high as well. So I'm gonna check mine as we get a little closer here to the end of the boil. We are about halfway through, maybe about 35 minutes into the boil. So if I'm still running high, I'll add some distilled water to it, get it so that we're closer to that 1052. I want to make sure I'm there, so I've got more distilled water so I can do that, but got to remember to check my stuff ahead of time, make sure that refractometer's on. So I checked it, probably did 3 or 4 times calibration and got it dead money. So within 2 points now of the sample that's in there onto the refractometer, and then with the temperature calibration on it. So getting closer. We'll talk to you in a few. All right, guys, we are within seconds of being at the end. So there's a 60-minute boil. Turn on my chiller. I do a little old school chilling here, and I'll show you that here in a second. Turn my heat off. Kill the gas. Alright, so we have 208. She's starting to drop now. We'll hit the flame out addition. Last hot drop. So, already tried to drop. I picked up a over the edge kettle, or the over the edge whirlpool. This is from Bobby at Brew Hardware. So I really like it because it gives me an opportunity to whirlpool this. I got an immersion chiller, so just one that I made myself, and then again a little bit of redneck put together system. So I've got supply lines that would go to a washer, 2 hoses, and then that goes out to a pond pump that I have in my pool. So during the summertime, like that's running 88 degrees right now, the pool is. We've been in heat advisory 90 to 95 degrees for the last week. So, but that takes, so I got a pump running out, so the hose pump is right there, comes in through the immersion chiller, and then goes back out into the pool right over on that side. So I can get it down to about 90 degrees, and then I'll put it into the fermenter and then put it in my firm chamber and let it settle overnight, and then I'll pitch the yeast tomorrow. So I don't like to waste water if I don't have to, so instead of running water through an immersion chiller and then just kind of dumping it out the outside over here into the side lawn, I want to try to keep it. So I end up using it in the pool during the winter time. That thing works awesome. I can get it down in a big old hurry, and having this system now will be really good with the pump into the tower of power. This is only my 5th or 6th that I've used on this so far. So we're down to 180 and chilling's going. So we'll see how things go. So far so good. I did end up having to add distilled water, added about 1 gallon back into it. After checking my numbers, I was running about 1060 with 15 minutes left to go in the boil. So added a half gallon, then another quarter, and another quarter, ended up getting to a full gallon, got me down to 13 bricks, puts me right there at that 1051, 1052 number. So I'll get a final number on it here after it's chilled down, at least down to 90 or so, and then I'll get a check and see where we're at. So, all right, guys, thanks. Have a great one. All right, guys, probably the last check-in for today. So that is the finished sample of the malt experiment. So I came up with 1044 at 93 degrees. When that calibrates, that's a 1049. I thought I was going to be dead nuts on the money. I'm 3 points low. It was supposed to be 1052. I did end up having to add water, so I'm not quite sure what's going on between calibrating my refractometer there in the blue box and having that. I don't know. I feel more comfortable with the hydrometer right now. Unfortunately, when you're talking about boiling temperatures and stuff, it's hard to get samples of that. So you're trying to track it throughout the course of the boil, and you're using the refractometer. So we are chilled to 89.8. It's going to be darn close to probably about as much as we're going to be able to get. The pool's 88 that I'm using to pull water out of. So I'm going to get it into the keg, and let's see if I can pull this off. I have retrofitted this with, I don't know if you can see down there in the bottom, there's a flexible dip tube. So I took the dip tube out and put those flexible lines on. A lot of the stuff that people have been using for more beer to get the clear beer tubes or something like that. So I have 2 of these. I'll probably do a video at some point on how I do my no oxygen transfers. I actually stole the idea from Brian over at Short Circuit Brewing, but I gotta be honest, I know it's 4.5 gallons that I put in here compared to 5.5 is what people are putting in a lot of the fermenters. But I tell you what, the pin lock kegs, if you buy them on sale, if you get them in a pack, a lot of times, a 2-pack, 3-pack, you can get them for 25 to 30 bucks a piece, way less expensive than some of the big fermenters. They're beautiful, those big fermenters, the buckets and all, but I'm a cheap guy, so I guess that's where I'm at. But I can get 3 or 4 of these for the same price of one of those, and I feel like I get awful lot of use out of these types of things. I can clean them real easy, being stainless steel and all, and I know I can do O2, low O2 or no O2 transfers with these over to my serving kegs. I use ball lock on my serving and pin lock on the ferment. So all right, so 89.4 is 89.3 we're sitting at right now, probably as low as we're at. So, all right, guys, I will we'll come back and check in with you here as we move along over the next week or 2 with the fermenting, and once we get it kegged up and check it out and see how this beer turns out. So, again, it was 1049. Final gravity is supposed to be 1052, so 3 points off. Sorry about that, Matt. I apologize. I thought I had it on. pH was on the money, maybe a tenth off. I think we were 5.4. It was supposed to be 5.3. We'll get it overnight into this and let it chill down to that 70 degrees, and then we'll pitch the yeast, the USO5, tomorrow, and we'll see how things are going. All right, guys. Hope everybody has a great weekend. It's Saturday afternoon, about 5:30 or so. Time for my Brewtubers glass is empty. Time for another beer and finish the cleanup. Cilantro, gentlemen.